Guys, go ahead and get out your social studies books. You'll want to go ahead and open up to page 176. We're going to be reading about Alexander the Great, so you need to pause this so you can make sure you have a book open and ready to go. Alexander builds an empire. Alexander the Great conquered the Persian Empire and spread Greek culture throughout Southwest Asia. Philip planned to conquer the Persian Empire with the Greeks' help. Before Philip could carry out his plan, however, he was murdered. As a result, the invasion of Asia fell to his son. Alexander was only 20 when he became king of Macedonia. Philip had carefully trained his son for leadership while still a boy. Alexander often went with his father to the battlefront. At age 16, he rose to commander in the Macedonian army. After his father's death, Alexander was ready to fulfill his father's dream, the invasion of the Persian Empire. Alexander's conquest. In the spring of 334 BC, Alexander invaded Asia Minor with about 37,000 Macedonian and Greek foot soldiers. He also took along 5,000 mounted warriors. With Alexander at their head, the cavalry destroyed the forces of the local Persian satraps at the Battle of Granicus. By the next year, Alexander had freed the Greek cities in Asia Minor from Persian rule and defeated a large Persian army at Issus. He then turned south. By the winter of 332 BC, he had captured Syria and Egypt. Then he built the city of Alexandria as a center of business and trade. The city became one of the most important cities in the ancient world. See how it's called Alexandria? Kind of like his name. Anyway. In 331 BC, Alexander headed east and defeated the Persians at Gaugamela, near Babylon. After this victory, his army easily overran the rest of the Persian Empire. However, Alexander did not stop at Persia. Over the next 3 years, he marched east as far as modern Pakistan. In 326 BC, he crossed the Indus River and entered India. There, he fought a number of bloody battles. Weary of continuous war, his soldiers refused to go farther. Alexander agreed to lead them home. On the return march, the troops crossed a desert in which is now southern Iran. Heat and thirst killed thousands of soldiers. At one point, a group of soldiers found a little water and scooped it up in a helmet. Then they offered the water to Alexander. According to the Greek historian, Alexander, in full view of his troops, poured the water on the ground. So extraordinary was the effect of this action that the water wasted by Alexander was as good as any drink for every man in the army. In 323 BC, Alexander returned to Babylon. He wanted to plan an invasion of southern Arabia, but was very tired and weak from wounds. He came down with a bad fever. 10 days later, he was dead at the age of 32. So, died very young and was only ruler for like 12 years. Alexander's legacy. Alexander was a great military leader. He was brave and even reckless. He often rode into battle ahead of his men and risked his own life. He inspired his armies to march into unknown lands and risk their lives in difficult situations. The key to Alexander's courage may have been his childhood education. Alexander kept a copy of the Iliad under his pillow. Most likely his inspiration was Homer's warrior hero Achilles. In the end, Alexander's reputation outstripped even Achilles, and today he is called Alexander the Great. A legacy is what a person leaves behind when he or she dies. Alexander's skill and daring created his legacy. He helped extend Greek and Macedonian rule over a vast area. At the same time, he and his army spread Greek art, ideas, language, and architecture wherever they went in Southwest Asia and Northern Africa. Greeks, in turn, brought new ideas back from Asia and Africa. Alexander's conquest marked the beginning of the Hellenistic era. The word Hellenistic comes from a Greek word meaning like the Greeks. It refers to a time when the Greek language and Greek ideas spread to the non-Greek people of Southwest Asia. The empire breaks apart. Alexander the Great planned to unite Macedonians, Greeks, and Persians in his new empire. He used Persians as officials and encouraged his soldiers to marry Asian women. After Alexander died, however, his generals fought one another for power. As a result, the empire that Alexander had created fell apart. 4 kingdoms took its place: Macedonia, Pergamum, Egypt, and Seleucid. Look at the map on page 179 to see where these kingdoms were located. All the government business in the Hellenistic kingdoms was conducted in the Greek language. Only those Asians and Egyptians who spoke Greek could apply for government posts. The kings preferred to give the jobs to the Greeks and Macedonians. In this way, Greeks managed to stay in control of the governments. By 100 BC, the largest city in the Mediterranean world was Alexandria, which Alexander had founded in Egypt. In addition, the Hellenistic kings created new cities and military settlements. These new Greek cities needed architects, engineers, philosophers, artisans, and artists. For this reason, Hellenistic rulers encouraged Greeks and Macedonians to settle in Southwest Asia. These colonists provided new recruits for the army and a pool of government officials and workers. They helped spread Greek culture into Egypt and as far east as the modern day Afghanistan and India. So if you guys look at the map on page 179, you will see like where they broke apart. But all of that stuff used to be what Alexander the Great had taken over. If you look back at page 176, you're going to see the map there that says Alexander's Empire. So see everything that he had controlled, he had taken over. That's a lot of land considering he just started from like close to Athens there. Anyway, now that you've finished listening to me read this, you need to go back to Google Classroom and see what else it is that I have for you in store for the day. Thanks.